And we're back to Shades of Green on KDWN 720 AM in Las Vegas with Chef Adam Kas. Good morning, Chef Kas. We are in our last segment here. We're going to talk some specifics here, specific foods, and what's the difference?
Sure. So we have a lot that we can cover. I'm going to try to fit as much more into this last segment as possible, but hopefully you guys will have me back. So big picture, I want to just address two real important things. Because again, like the psychology and then with how we get down to the regular foods, we want to always look at better, not perfect, right? So I work with a nutrition system that I personally love, and we talk a lot about this system as being better, not perfect. And if you think about that idea, it relieves a lot of that pressure that people often feel with how to make food choices. And we always want to go back to, like I talked about, to the energy thing. And then the other idea is we want to deal in percentages, not absolutes. So again, when people start eating a certain way, they're like, well, is it okay for me to have I don't need to say cheat meal, right? I just like to, you can go out with your friends. You can make, when is food more of a social activity? When is food more of a family activity? Eat the things that you want to, but the things that you want to can also be working well with your body, right? I don't really like to say good for you. I try to eliminate all those phrases that we all heard when we were kids, because they don't work. I cook for some kids, and anytime I say, you should eat this is good for you, that is a good way to have them not eat it. That's what that is, right? So I have to make sure it's my body responds well to this, or this is a food that will be high, cause me to be in a high functioning state. So totally reframing the words, the verbiage that we're using. Now, specific foods, look, again, I'm not meaning to avoid this topic or anything. I know different people are different. Right? So, of course, avoiding things that are like heavy starches as a regular thing of eating, not only because of its effect on your body and your overall, you have a higher fat, your body mass index is, higher fat and, lower muscle. But you have to understand, again, the physiology of what happens when you put those foods in your body. Basically, starchy foods cause us to keep wanting more starchy foods. High glycemic foods that break down into your bloodstream quicker as glucose. That's why when you eat rice, you're like, I can eat endless amounts of rice, or I call it potato chip effect, right? When you reach in that bag of potato chips and you get down and you're all the way at the bottom and you're wiping your finger on the bottom bag and you lick your finger, right? So there's two things that are happening. One is the reaction of that glucose in your bloodstream is telling your body, I'm getting food right now. Our biology is based on programming from when we were still living in the jungle, right? Our basic physiology and anatomy has not changed dramatically, even though our brains have, and even though, of course, our environment has. So we have to look at that and say, well, what's happening now? And that's causing me to want to eat more this way. The other thing about it is it's completely devoid of nutrition. Right, so we want to always look at things as having we want a full nutrient profile.
Don't tell me there's no nutrition in potato chips.
All right, there's the nutrition for a good bellyache, and I'm not saying I haven't done. I'm not saying I never did. Instead, let's look at it this way: your body is needing something. It's not your psychology. You're not a bad person for eating potato chips. It's your body telling you there's some. So I used to eat ice cream every night. Just a few years ago, and then I got onto this nutrition system, and all of a sudden my desire to eat the ice cream each night was gone. I didn't say to myself, of course there were plenty of times I was like, I shouldn't be doing this, as I spoon feed myself ice cream and watch TV that I've seen 20 times, right? I'm watching a movie that's just on TV because that's what I was doing. And putting the right nutrition in your body actually changes you. That's the crazy thing, and we all have experienced this when we've eaten clean. Where, you eat a clean meal, or you go to a place like you were saying, you're going to Life Kitchen, you eat a certain meal, and then afterwards, you're like, actually, I am satiated. A feeling of completeness. And I still have plenty of energy. So again, retraining patterns, because if your pattern is constantly to eat until you're going to explode, and that's what you train yourself to understand is full or done eating, then that's what you have to go for every time. Or your pattern is to not eat in the morning, and then to eat when you're finally just caving in, and your body's like, if you don't feed me, I'm going to completely shut down. You're going to be in a really bad mood. That's what your bad moods are. It's your physiology not being in a state conducive to you functioning well. So understanding we personalize all of this stuff instead of scientifically looking at it objectively and saying what's actually going on here, what's causing this state to occur, whether it's a state that we love or a state that we don't like so much and we don't really ever want to be in, but we've trained ourselves and we think, this is the crazy part, we think that's who we are. And one of my mentors, one of the biggest things he focuses on is that your identity is the strongest thing about you. If you look at what you tell yourself you are, if you look at how you tell yourself you behave, if you say, I'm a healthy person, all of a sudden you start making healthy habits. If working out is important to you, if it's a high value to you, if it's not, what are your other habits? It's your identity. And that's what people don't change a lot of times, is they feel their identity is actually threatened. And then they start to take it personally. So one of the things when you talk about specific foods is I would say experiment. Experiment cooking different things. You know, just get creative. Like, don't take it so seriously. It's just food. Like, you're going to be okay. So if you're like, I've never cooked eggplant before. You know, we had the woman at the event who asked me about the sauce. Remember that? She said she couldn't eat tomatoes. I was thinking about that question on the way home. Okay? I was like, I need to get her information. And I'll tell you, I came up with something so you can pass this along, please. She can saute up some eggplant, get nice caramelization on it, because caramelization is flavor, right? That's the process of browning any carbohydrate, right? It can happen with sugars. It can happen. Toast is just caramelized bread, right? It's a certain reaction. It's a chemical reaction. So 3 things happen: color changes, flavor changes, and texture changes. And then same thing with some carrots, okay? And then puree that. If she's not a vegan, she can do like some chicken broth or something like that, some chicken stock. Or if she's like vegan vegetarian, she could just do like vegetable stock, and maybe if she wanted to make it a little creamy, she could put a little of that coconut milk in, like I did at the event. And now she's got like if you think about that carrot and eggplant profile, it's almost like a tomato, because you got that sweet, you got a little bit of that acid, but it'll be very full. Like those 2 things, I haven't made this yet, but I really want to make it. So we have to constantly be like looking at this and like playing around like we're little kids, but also being like scientists at the same time, studying it. Study the responses that things cause. Study the effects that your causes produce. If you start looking at things this way, everything changes, because then you just say, do I want to repeat the effect that I got, or no? Do I want to get a different effect?
Well, I'm sure, too, that by substituting different foods, for example, we talked about honey, sugar, and agave. Then let's go to dairy. I'm lactose intolerant, but so I don't eat any dairy, but I eat a ton of coconut products, and so I only drink coconut milk. And I went years without eating cereal in the morning because I couldn't drink milk. And now I eat cereal every chance I get with coconut milk. So now I get my cereal. I also get all the calcium, twice as much calcium, half the calories with coconut milk as with dairy milk. So those kind of things, like the glycemic index of agave, honey, and sugar differences. Talk about that for
Sure. So glycemic index is one of the least known aspects of approaches to health out of food, and one of the most important. Basically, how quick foods break down into your bloodstream as glucose, meaning that how quickly they turn into sugar that your body can actually use. And the more sugar we put into our bodies, the more work it has to do, and you get backed up, and that's when your body starts to store it as glycogen, right? That's what we call fat, adipose tissue, right? So just some of these concepts, we could go on and on. It's a long, deep, dark rabbit hole.
And we'll be back with Chef Kas at another time. I want to make a really quick announcement. We've got the Green Home Symposium October 12th, 8 to 5, and we've got the Community Solar Project in Pahrump on November 2nd from 9 to 2. There'll be a bus ride going out there. And don't forget to text HEALTH1 to 760-670-3130 and get all the information you need on Chef Kas. And this is Paul Ira, your host on Shades of Green, and we'll be back next week on Monday morning at 9.
Thank you, guys.
Keep it green out there.
Thank you, Chef.